Welcome to Sports Nothing But Sports with Kent Sterling for a lovely Tuesday afternoon in central Indiana. Brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. Give them a call. Dr. Mike O'Neill's flat out the best dentist you're ever going to go to. 317-849-2933. How about Kyle Guy last night? 24 points. Virginia wins in overtime. So Kyle Guy becomes a champion. And I'll tell you how you do that. It's early mornings. It's late nights, working at the game. It's also this. It's also being really enthusiastic about the thing that you love most. And that for Kyle Guy is basketball. Whether he was playing at Lawrence Central, UVA, whether he was playing for Indiana Elite, he's been the same kid. A lot of smiling. 24 points last night, but you know what? More smiles than that because Kyle Guy absolutely loves the game. He loves his teammates. He loves to score. He loves to help people score. He loves to communicate on defense. He is enthusiastic about every aspect about the game. And when you communicate the way Kyle Guy does, you got a really good chance to win basketball games. He is loud on the court. He smiles. He supports his teammates. He listens to his coaches. He embodies all that's really good about basketball. He's also a terrific athlete, a really good shooter. He hit 42% from beyond the arc this season for UVA. He is everything that Indiana basketball represents. So when we talk about Indiana University basketball and we say things like, you know what, you got to recruit Indiana kids, we're talking about guys like Kyle Guy. We're talking about guys who absolutely love the game. It's not about geography, even though Kyle Guy is from Indiana. It's not about that. It's about a love of the game. It's about a love for playing the game the right way. It's not about chest thumping. It's not about pointing to the ceiling. It's not about these self-congratulatory antics. It's about supporting your guys and fostering, even more than that. It's about fostering an environment where team play is lauded. And that's what Kyle Guy does as a peer for his UVA teammates. He was that way at Lawrence Central. You know what? He did things, and at first I thought, what is with this kid? And because he'd wear like a long sleeve T-shirt or he'd wear like leggings and it looked like he just wanted to look different. And it took me a bit of time to see that it wasn't about him. It was just about having fun. It was just about enjoying the moment, enjoying the experience. And if wearing leggings made that a little bit more fun, then he wore leggings and the hell with it. When he went to UVA and he had the man bun as a freshman, I was like, look, this kid, it's not about drawing attention to himself. He just thinks that it's fun. And when you watch him play basketball, what you see is a hyper enthusiastic, energetic kid enjoying the thing that he loves most. Is he going to wind up playing in the NBA? I don't know. I'd take a shot on the kid because that kid represents what's good about basketball. So that's what I do. And like I said, for all of you Indiana University basketball fans who said we got to go get 5-star guys, you know what? Kyle Guy was a really good high school basketball player. He was Mr. Basketball in Indiana his senior year in high school. But you know what? And that was 2016. But you know what? It's about getting kids who love the game. That's what it's about. That's what Indiana basketball should embody. It's about playing good, hard-nosed, communicative defense. And on the offensive end, it's about taking as much pride and joy in distributing the basketball to a kid in a place where he can score it, as it is finding a way to score it yourself. That's the important thing. That's what Indiana basketball used to be about, and that's what good basketball is always about. You've got to find kids like Kyle Guy, who, whether it was summer basketball for Indiana Elite, whether it was at Lawrence Central, whether it's at Virginia, wherever, he is a lot of fun to watch because of the way he plays the game. And now he's a champion. How about them apples? Good for Kyle Guy, good for Virginia, good for Tony Bennett. Lester Quinones. He has decided, or he's pulled the plug on his visit for this weekend at Indiana. He was scheduled to come to campus and visit. He's a class of 2019 kid, and Indiana's got scholarships. And so Lester Quinones, you know what? Being, a top 60 kid in the class of 2019, that might, at least in terms of rankings, and I don't know how else to talk about the kid because I've never seen him play. You know what? maybe he winds up being a force for good for Indiana. But he tweeted earlier today, family matter, don't worry, we'll reschedule. I don't think anybody was worried. You know what? It's not about worrying. This isn't a matter for worry for the Indiana fan base. This is about a kid and his decision whether or not he's going to play basketball and study at Indiana University, and that's his business. Whether he comes, whether he doesn't come, I don't care. I'm not invested in the decisions of an 18-year-old as to where they're going to go to go to college unless I'm recruited or related to the guy. At that point, I get interested. Nephews, my son, that kind of thing, cousins, I want to know where those people are going. Yeah, I went down to New Albany High School to see Romeo Langford commit. I know. You know what, though? I went to New Albany High School. I've known Romeo Langford for a while. I kind of like the kid. In fact, I really like the kid. And seeing where Romeo was going to go was interesting to me. So, you know what? Maybe I'm a hypocrite in that one instance where I went to New Albany and I showed a little bit of emotional attachment to a kid to the extent that I would drive 2 hours down, 2 hours back, sit around in a gym and listen to people for like 55 minutes at a ceremony before Romeo finally got up to the dais and put on an Indiana University hat. And so shoot me. You know what? If that makes me a hypocrite, it makes me a hypocrite. UCLA, they're going to hire Mick Cronin as their next head coach. That's the report. Why would Mick Cronin go to UCLA? Why would anybody uproot their family and move to Los Angeles and coach basketball at a place where you can flat out not win, where they had their guy in Jamie Dixon, but they refused to pay the buyout, where they offered John Calipari a pay cut to leave Kentucky, where they've talked to a bunch of guys, and including Rick Barnes, who only used the UCLA opening to go get more money out of his current employer, the University of Tennessee, and why Tennessee ponied up the way they did. You got to call a guy's bluff every once in a while, right? If you're an athletic director, what the hell kind of an athletic director is Philip Fulmer when he allows Rick Barnes to dictate terms like that? I just don't get it. What kind of a boss grabs his ankles and lets Rick Barnes kind of mount you from behind as he pries more? I guess it's not Fulmer's money. What the hell does he care, right? If he's got the cash, why not give it to the coaches? But does it take an offer from UCLA to lever you into that place where you're going to go ahead? And he did win the award, the AP Coach of the Year award. And good for him. Rick Barnes run out a few years ago at Texas. He's kind of found a home at Tennessee. Tennessee was really good this past year. And some of the credit goes to Rick Barnes. But why UCLA would have decided that he was their guy, I don't understand. Mick Cronin going out there. Mick Cronin seemed really, really well suited to coach at Cincinnati. I wonder how his act is going to play out in L.A. I doubt too well because they keep hiring the wrong guy. You know, whether it was how about Ben Howland? He goes to Final Four like 3 straight years in the late 2000s, I think 2007 through 09 or 6 through 08, whatever. And they decide a few years after that, we don't want any more of Ben Howland. I guess he was too successful. So they hire Steve Alford. They make it really, really difficult for Alford to win consistently at UCLA, and they run him out midseason after Alford kind of disconnects from the position and is no longer coaching with the same level of verve and intensity. And then they got three months to go ahead and fill that opening. And I guess instead of talking to agents and figuring out kind of what a workable list might have been for UCLA to use to select a coach, they just start throwing offers out there, and what they do more than anything else is make a bunch of coaches a lot more money by offering them the job, having agents go to their current ADs and say, look, he's got an offer for UCLA, and when UCLA makes an offer, you got to listen and you got to respond. And so the current employers, like Calipari at Kentucky, lifetime contract, Barnes at Tennessee gets an extension. I don't know what happened with Jamie Dixon other than the fact that UCLA wasn't going to pay the buyout. And now they settle for Mick Cronin. if you got to settle for your coach, you know what? I'll say this about Indiana. When Indiana went out and got Archie Miller, you know what? They didn't settle for Archie Miller. They went out and got Archie Miller. Whether he's the right guy or not the right guy, that's still to be determined. I think there's a reasonable chance that he is the right guy. But when they went out and got him, what they did was get him. They targeted him from Jump Street. They made him the priority, and they went out and got him. And that's the way you do it. They didn't try to go out and get Calipari. They didn't go out and try to get, like, Patino. They didn't go out and try to get Rick Barnes. They went out and got their guy. Now, it may be the wrong guy, maybe the right guy. But at least they got that guy that they targeted initially. From where we're sitting, that's how we understand it. That's how you execute a coaching search. UCLA, they shot at that target, whoops, that target, whoops, that target, whoops, and finally, Mick Cronin is coming. Good coach. His teams fight. They compete like hell. But is that act going to play in LA? We're going to find out. It's going to be interesting. So who gets Cincinnati? That is a really good basketball job. I don't know. That's the interesting thing, is kind of the trickle-down deal. And this goes on for months, at least another month and a half, where guys are going to take jobs, and that opens something up, and boom, this guy moves to that. And by the way, we neglected to mention this. Mike Schrage, who is an assistant here at Butler under Chris Holtmann, moved with Holtmann and that entire staff, went to Ohio State. Schrage is now going to be the head coach at Elon. And good for him, man. Really, really good dude. Was on my radio show again and again and again and again. Love Mike Schrage. Think he's going to do great work as the head coach at Elon. Terrific guy, like I said. The Chicago Cubs, they're off today. They won 10-0 yesterday. One of the weirdest half innings ever that I've ever seen as a Cubs fan. The bottom of the second for the Cubs. First two guys out. Third guy grounds to second. The second baseman is a kid named Newman. Throws the ball away. Wound up with 3 errors in that inning. Then Lester hits a ball into the gap after an intentional walk. Plates one, second and third. You got a line drive up the middle. Hits the pitcher in the brain. But he's okay. It must have hit him in the right spot of his skull. But a guy just absolutely killed a pitch. Came back right off the noodle. And Cubs wind up scoring 6 runs in that half inning. They hold on to win 10-0. And John Lester, because of that hit into the gap where he got out of the box and wound up going to second, Lester, his hamstring is going to put him on the DL or the IL or whatever the hell they call that thing now. So he's going on the IL, and this is absolutely terrible news for the Chicago Cubs, because he's the one starting pitcher that you could kind of count on. The other guys, Quintana is never going to go on the IL. He's going to be like Dick Ruthven back in the day for the Cubs. The one guy you want to go on the IL isn't going to go on the IL, and the guy that you don't want to go on the IL, he's the guy with a hamstring problem. So you got Quintana, and you got these guys who haven't, like Darvish. Darvish, he's going to wind up, if all things being equal, you can pretty much expect Darvish to wind up on the IL at some point. Anyway, the Cubs, nice to see him win yesterday. Absolutely beautiful day at Wrigley Field. The Masters, we got the par 3 contest tomorrow, and then we've got the Masters proper starting on Thursday, which I love. That is the first day of spring to me. I love the Masters. There is nothing better on Masters weekend. My wife's going out of town, and I was thinking, what the hell am I going to do? What am I going to do? The wife's out of town. I'm going to be knocking around the house all by myself. What am I going to do? Like landscape or something awful like that all day long just out of boredom? And then I thought, hey, you know what? No, it's Masters weekend. So what I'm going to do is sit on my ass and watch golf and take naps and have a nice restful weekend while my wife visits a friend in Florida. That is a great weekend. You know what? If she had to pick a weekend to go out of town, she picked a good one, because I'd do that anyway. Her here, her not here. I'm on a couch. I'm watching the Masters. I'm taking a nap. I'm nodding off. I'm nodding on. I'm nodding off. I'm nodding on. And we'll see what happens at Augusta National this weekend. This has been sports, nothing but sports. You know what? No exceptions. Normally we have a guest. No guest today because I had too much to talk about. Kyle Guy, and I wrote about it at KentSterling.com, and if you haven't read it, please do. Please read it, because Kyle Guy is just a great dude. And if you want to recruit somebody, if you're a college basketball coach and you see a kid out there, and I don't care, like Kyle Guy was really skinny when he was in high school, but he was also really good, and he had ice water in his veins, and so you knew Saturday night he was going to make all 3 of those free throws, didn't you? If you've ever watched Kyle Guy do anything, you had a really good sense that he was going to be able to cash on all 3 of those free throws and kick Virginia into that championship game, and that's exactly what he did. I told my wife, I told her family, I was like, I guarantee he makes all 3 of these foul shots. He did. Kyle Guy, just a great kid who understands what basketball is. And that's something to have fun at, not something just to work at to the point where you resent it and you hate it. That is not what basketball is. If you can smile while you do something 12 hours a day, you've found the thing that you're supposed to do, and that's Kyle Guy's secret. That's what he's done. Basketball is that for him. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Breakfast with Kent, 8 o'clock on Facebook Live, 8:10 on Periscope or thereabouts. It's a video, kind of a podcast. And then in the afternoon, of course, we've got Sports Nothing But Sports right here posting by 3 o'clock every single day at KentSterling.com, at Kent Sterling on Twitter, on my Facebook page, Kent Sterling. It's all Kent Sterling all the time, I guess. It's what I do. It's who I am. All right, so we'll do that, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 8. Join me then, all brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry.